Hi, everyone. Today we're going to talk about OCR, Optical Character Recognition, versus AI invoice coding. Here's the question I get more often than on any other. Why do we even need PredictAP? Can't OCR or newer smart OCR just handle invoice coding? It's a very fair question. And the answer is, well, OCR handles part of it, the easy part. It does not handle the hard part, and I'll show you the difference. Because it's the difference between reading an invoice and actually understanding it that creates the work. I'm David Stifter. I'm the founder and CEO of PredictAP. Before this, I spent more than 20 years on the operator side of real estate finance and technology, including being a managing director at Digital Bridge, and before that, Colony Capital, where I head up accounting, finance, operations, and technology. I started PredictAP in 2020 to solve one specific problem nobody had cracked, which is the accounting judgment behind invoice coding. Today, we work with more than 120 real estate organizations processing over 6.5 million invoices a year on a patented engine built specifically for coding invoices for commercial real estate. So this is a problem I think about all day. In the next few minutes, I'll cover three things. First, what OCR actually does, then where it stops, and finally, what AI invoice coding does differently. And I'll give you a simple test you can give to any vendor to tell whether their tool really codes invoices or just reads them. Let's start with a direct answer. OCR and AI coding solve two different problems. OCR reads the invoice. It pulls out the printed fields, the vendor, the invoice number, the date, the amount. It's very literal. AI invoice coding decides the accounting treatment and more nuanced things that aren't necessarily on the invoice. It figures out which entity, which properties, which GL accounts, whether the cost is recoverable or expensed, how it's split across properties. And oftentimes those choices are based on history, not on what's on the paper. And here's the key. In real estate, the bottleneck was never reading. It's always been the coding. To be fair to OCR, because it is a generally good tool, modern OCR, including newer AI-enabled smart OCR, reads what's on the page very, very well. Vendor name, invoice number, due date, total, that part is basically solved. If all you needed was text off a paper, it's a solved problem. Many good options out there. But here's where it stops. OCR reads text. It doesn't understand nuance or accounting. Picture a plumber who fixed a burst pipe at one of your properties at 2 in the morning. You get an email the next day, no PO. Well, OCR can tell you from that invoice it's ABC Plumbing for $4,000 and the date it was occurred. What it can't tell you is this expense recoverable or is it expense? Should it be a repair or should it be maintenance? What operating entity or properties does it belong to? Maybe that pipe serviced multiple properties and there's an allocation to be done. None of that is printed on the invoice. It lives in your chart of accounts, your ownership structure, and it can take months and years for your team to understand how that should be properly coded for that vendor in that situation. And it gets more subtle. Sometimes the correct coding is the opposite of what the invoice says. The invoice might be addressed to the parent REIT entity or the corporation, because that is the name of the master agreement was signed under. But the real cost belongs to several operating sub-entities pushed down to specific properties. The name on the page is not the entity that pays. Reading it perfectly does not help you. That is a decision and not a data field. And that's the important thing here. These are nuanced fields that might have real answers that don't exist on the page. They exist in context of history. So what actually solves this? AI invoicing solves this. Instead of just reading the document, it learns from your history how your team was coded each vendor, each property, each amount over time. Then it predicts the hard fields in every new invoice. We call these fields judgment fields, and they are the core of our patent. The fields that require decision, context, and history, not just reading. Things like entity, property, GL account, workflows, expense types, recoverability, allocations, segments, notes, these all can require judgment. And the coded invoice drops right into the workflow you're already ready to use. That is a good, intelligent AI invoice coding system. Whether that's Yardi, Payscan, Bottomline, Nexus, or Resman, it's built to disappear into the system you already have. Your approvers work exactly the way they do today. They just receive a fully coded invoice with those difficult judgment fields filled out. Why does this matter so much? It matters because coding is not the last step. It's the first data point in a chain. That entity, that property, that GL decision flows straight into your CAM recoveries, your 1099s, your capitalization, your audit, your month-end, year-end closing. A miscode does not just slow a payment. It can misstate a recovery, put a cost in the wrong entity's books, and show up months later. And the numbers back this up. Ardent Partners found that best AP teams process an average invoice in about 3 days, while others take around 17. Most of that gap is not reading time. It's the coding, review, rework, and research that's required to deal with difficult allocations. So here's a simple test I promised. Next time a vendor tells you their tool is AI powered, hand them a messy invoice from your inbox, the ugly one, the one that spans 3 properties with no PO, and ask them to code it, not just read it. Then ask 3 questions. Question number 1, does it predict the internal fields, the entity, the property, and the GL account? Or does it just read the printed ones? 2, does it learn from my corrections? And 3, does it work inside my organization, inside my existing workflow and system? If the answer is yes to all 3, you have a coding engine. If it just reads the text back to you, then it's OCR. Here's the bottom line. OCR reads, AI invoice coding decides. And in real estate, the deciding is the whole job. At PredictAP, that is the only thing we do, and we do it very, very well for real estate specifically. If you want to go deeper, I wrote a full breakdown of the 7 different differences between OCR and invoice coding, and I'll link it below. And if this was useful, like and subscribe, because I break down how AI is really being used in real estate finance without the hype. I'm David Stifter, and thank you for watching.